Jen, and welcome to my channel. I am a woman in long-term recovery. I'm also a CARC, a SERPA, a rape crisis counselor, a Narcan trainer, the founder for Supplies for Life, and just a whole bunch of other little gems along the way. If you look at my description box down below, you'll find everything that I've been involved with for the most part, things that I'm doing or ways you can help Supplies for Life, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, remember you are loved. So today's topic is kind of something that really needs to be said and has been weighing on me. I've been watching things and I've just been seeing things happen. And if I don't speak up about it, I won't be me, right? Recovery is not trendy, right? I know lately we've been putting like this sober spin and this sober vibe on everything. And it's cool because it's making us feel more included and everything is more inclusive. But at the end of the day, it's not fucking trendy. Like, it's a disease that's wiping out an entire generation. And there's nothing trendy about that. It is a lifestyle change and choice. And I feel like that's something that really needs to be taken seriously. And that's something that needs to be respected and be honored. This trendiness of it, it's not it. It's really not. I feel like, it's forwarding the mission, so to speak. And I'm grateful for that. And it's been really weighing heavily on me that influencers, big, small, medium, little, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, whatever other, Instagram, all that. When we put our lives on social media, we take on the responsibility that comes with us. We get these amazing, immense following of people who are already in a compromised situation. And they have already either been in active addiction themselves, a loved one, a significant other, a child, whoever, somebody, anybody, the community, whatever. And we invite them into our lives and our situations and what's going on and what we're doing and what we're not doing. And they look up to us and they respect us and they come to us for advice and example and how to be better. And when we take these things lightly and we allow them into our lives and we do not practice what we preach, we are setting them up to fail. And sometimes failure means to unalive themselves. Sometimes failure leads to jail sentences. Sometimes failure leads to ODs. It's serious. Like it's big shit. It's heavy shit. And I think also on the same flip side of it, as people who allow other people into their lives on social media, we are still human beings and we have struggles and we have times when the shit hits the fan, right? Just like every other human being in life. But what we do with that is what really counts. And getting intoxicated and lying to people or pretending to be somebody we're not or lying or furthering badness, it's just not it. It's active addict behavior without the full-on addiction, we'll say, right? I know for me, I still struggle. I struggle with my mental health. I struggle with feeling that I'm failing or I'm not giving my all or I'm letting people down. And I try and be very, very open and honest about that because I know you guys go through that too, right? It's human. It is what it is. And I feel like when I'm struggling, if I come on and I'm open and honest and realistic about it, and I'm not just going on a rant and a rave, and I say, hey, listen, like my mental health is in the toilet. I'm trying to, work through this. I just want you to know you're not alone if you're feeling the same way. Just like the other day with my, my video about how I'm still struggling. And I feel like this is how, this is what a community should be. You should be able to not only celebrate the ups, but also go through the downs together and be there for one another and support one another. And I feel like as influencers or social media whatever fancy pants title you want to put on it, because I really don't look at myself like an influencer. I just look at myself someone who is certified to do the work that I do because I've gotten the trainings for it. And I think that's why I come from a different place than other influencers, right? I come from a place where, I've gone through trainings and I've gone through ethical dilemmas and ethical decisions, and I've put the hours in and I've put the work in, and I'm prepared for shit to hit the fan more so than someone who has never been in these circumstances and who has these trainings. And I feel like sometimes, this is what makes my niche so not really sure what the word I'm looking for is. So incredibly needed, but also so misunderstood, because you have people who are not certified in anything, who don't understand their own addiction and their own past traumas, and then come on and kind of want to be like a recovery person, which is great, but it's great when everything is good, right? But when things start to go bad in their personal life, their professional life, their home life, whatever, they're a train wreck and they fall apart, and other people are still looking for them for guidance. And unfortunately, they're not getting it in the proper fashion because these human beings are struggling, and that's acceptable. Like, to struggle as a human being is acceptable. But when you have people thinking that is the norm when it's not, it makes things messy and complicated. And it's sad, because we put ourselves in these positions where we box ourselves in to be all alone. And we, as social media influencers or whatever, I don't even know what title to call it, because I just do not see myself in that light, and I never will. I'm just on here talking to people who relate to me, and we're like getting through it together. That's really what the title is for me. But I just feel like we have to be really mindful of what message we give out, what we say and do, because there are people counting on us, and there are people watching, and there are lives literally at stake. And I just think this needs to be talked about more. And if you're considering getting into this type of industry, that needs to be like high on your priority list. Like, this is not to be taken lightly. People are watching, people are mimicking, people are copying, people are looking for you as an example. And when you're getting messy, it's time to take a break. I know for me, and by messy means multiple things. Messy means your mental health is poor. Messy means you are inconsistent. Messy means, you're having a hard time. Messy could also mean you're in a relapse. Like, messy means multiple things. So let's not get tied up on the words and say like, oh, whatever. But at the end of the day, I know when I was getting messy in my head, I pulled back and I came on and I was honest about it. Like, I'm overwhelmed. Things are not where they're supposed to be for me. I'm struggling, and I need to take time for me, my family, my in real life stuff. Because at the end of the day, if my in real life stuff is off base, I can't be a sober person, a mom, a wife, a human. I need to recognize those things. And that's part of doing the work and getting sober, right? Like, we recognize these things. And y'all know I'm not an AA person, but at the end of the day, they have some philosophies, and they're on point, right? Like, we have to do the work in order to be able to make this through. And when we don't do the work, our disease just sits there and waits for us and waits for us. And as soon as it gets a little dent in the armor, bam, it's in there like it's supposed to be. And I just lately have been seeing this happen, and it's very, very sad. And I just feel like this needs to be talked about. It's not popular. Nobody's going to like it. There's going to be an ass ton of fucking riff in the comments. And that's not what this is here for. This is here for me to bring light to a subject that really needs to be talked about. And I just feel like if you are not adequately trained and you don't understand certain things that are going on in your own life, you should really not be out there coaching and mentoring other people, because this is where this puts a ding on my industry that has worked very, very hard to create the career paths that it has. And the evidence is there. It works wholeheartedly. But when you have people who don't have proper training, are not really invested the way they should be, than for monetary gains, this is what happens. And it's really, really sad and it's heartbreaking. And it's not one person, it's multiple people on TikTok. And I've watched it now for a long time, kind of sat quietly and said nothing. But when you sit quietly because you don't want to get involved, you become a part of the problem instead of being a part of the solution. And if I'm holding other people accountable to be part of the solution, then I too must step up my game and be a part of it as well. So here I am holding myself accountable and saying, like, we all see it. We all know. Call it out. Call it out. 100%. Sometimes we need to call people out so we can help them get better. If we keep, just co-signing and allowing them, it only makes it worse. And that's when people get into a situation where they overdose or they relapse so badly they don't ever come back and they move in and they live there. And it's sad. And I know we don't want to see that happen to people. And being on social media, it's rough. I'm very blessed. 90% of my comments are positive, but there are some doozies that come out. And I've seen other influencers go through being attacked because someone misunderstood what they were saying, or just wanted to be snarky for no reason because they don't get it, or wanted to down somebody for being successful when that person genuinely, truly busted their ass to get to where they are. And it's just sad. And I just feel like this is something that needed to be talked about and needed to be said. Again, recovery isn't trendy. Sobriety isn't trendy. I'm glad that we've sort of made it that way on one hand because it's made it easier for people to recover. Recovery isn't something that's trendy. Like, it is something that needs to be respected. It needs to be honored. Yes, it is literally a disease, just like cancer. You don't see us making cancer trendy and, just throwing digs at cancer the way we do at sobriety and all this other stuff. And it saddens me that this is what it's come to. Addiction is a disease, and diseases are scary. Diseases kill people, right? It needs to be respected. It needs to be treated as such. It's not a fun time, and it holds a lot of responsibility, especially when you are saying, I'm doing better than my disease right now. That's a big deal. I come on here to hopefully, yes, entertain, but educate in an entertaining way. Like we have books that are written in an educating, entertaining way because that's the way people learn. And when it loses the sight of education and better understanding, something has gone wrong. I just really needed to come on here today and get this off my chest and say this because every time I pop on TikTok, or see a new YouTube channel pop up or existing YouTube channels, it just really saddens me that we've gotten so incredibly far from the mission. And I see people struggling, and I know how incredibly hard it is to deal with parts of being on social media. It's really difficult. If you're struggling, reach out. Like, don't go through it alone, whether it's to me or someone or you journal, but just really sad. And I feel like we really need to take this seriously. Thanks for listening to me today, guys. Remember, we recover loudly so those behind us do not suffer in silence. Bye, everyone.